Welcome to Zoracle Profiles Spot On Selling Series. The purpose of this series is to give you insights and tips as to how to use the Spot On Profile to present and close more deals. Let's join the discussion now on meta programs, the carrot or the stick.
But today's webinar is whether you're using the Spot On or not. We want you to be aware of these meta programs. So what is a meta program? A meta program are basically unconscious mental filters that we use to process information and ultimately create a decision or create some kind of action or behavior. Most of these meta programs are unconscious, so we're not aware how we're filtering information or even how we're coming to certain conclusions, including what businesses to buy. So the Spot On report and the questionnaire will bring forward a handful of those meta programs in an effort to help you better understand your prospective franchisee and ultimately close more deals. If you can understand someone's meta programs, the way they process information, you'll be better at moving them through the consultative process and to a final decision. So the new page that'll be added will be at the end of your Spot On report. This is a screenshot of what you'll be seeing. There are 5 meta programs we're going to be adding to the report, 2 of which I want to chat about today. So the one I want to talk about today is the comfort zone. Somebody has a small, medium, large, extra large comfort zone. What does that mean? And how do we use someone's comfort zone to help them get to a decision? And the second one is what we call the direction sort. Is someone use kind of goals and aspirations and rewards, kind of the carrot kind of motivated individual, or are they someone that moves away from pain? We're going to cover these other 3, the decision making, the relationship, and the frame of reference sorts or meta programs in next month's webinars. But let's just jump right in to the comfort zone. Most of you are familiar with a comfort zone. You know that it affects every area of our lives, from how much money we are going to make to how much pain and suffering we're willing to tolerate in a job or in a relationship, to how much we weigh. So it affects every single thing we do. And some of us have smaller comfort zones and some of us have bigger comfort zones. You can relate to this if you know someone who is a fitness fanatic, for example, where they put on a pound or 2 or maybe even 3 at the Christmas holidays, and that 3 pounds sends them off to the moon, where they instantly have to do something to correct being out of their comfort zone, that 3 pounds. And then others who can be 200 pounds overweight and still not really doing anything to pull themselves back into a physical place that is more acceptable for them. So the comfort zone can be bigger or smaller depending on the individual. Additionally, the comfort zone will be different in different areas of our lives. So I'll give you a crazy example of that. I have a good friend who's a multi-gazillionaire, and she's retired after running a successful business, and she has so much money she can't live long enough to outspend it, nor can her children outspend it, nor can her grandchildren or her great-grandchildren outspend her money. And yet her comfort zone around money is very, very small. A few years ago, when the stock market was kind of going cattywampus, she lost $30,000 in the stock market. Now that's a lot of money to me. It may even be a lot of money to you, but to her, it may be like $30, if that. It wasn't a lot of money relative to what she had. And she calls me when she lost this $30,000 and, kind of a downturn of the stock market, and she's in a panic. Rebecca, I got to find a job. I got to open my business again. This is a 67-year-old woman who doesn't need to be out working, and she's got plenty of money, but you can see that was a very small comfort zone from a financial perspective. but we're talking about a comfort zone that affects people socially, emotionally, relationally, and financially. And as we become aware of that, how it affects that decision-making process. So we know most of our behavior comes from a result of fear of what could happen, or pain, things that we're currently encountering that makes us uncomfortable, a miserable boss, working too many hours, traveling too much time, whatever that pain is, or is the fear that we're going to have pain. So we're motivated from getting out of this pain, and we're also motivated to have some pleasure in our lives. So this is kind of a natural, innate thing that we all have. But we're different. Each of us are different in when we use what we call the away from strategy, a move away from pain, or the toward strategy, moving towards pleasure. Just because you were one way doesn't mean your prospective franchisee is that same way. And we want to use their path of least resistance, their way of processing information, even if it feels weird to us. So a person who is what we call a toward strategy individual is someone who is going towards results and benefits and all kinds of wonderful things that they see in the future. The away from is someone that is looking at the world from what can I avoid? What do I not want to lose? What do I not want to sacrifice? What do I want to overcome? So one is moving towards pleasure and one is moving away from pain. So an away from individual is frequently focused on avoiding risk, avoiding loss. They're motivated by the stick. So someone who's away from, to motivate them, we have to take out a stick and encourage them. We have to actually poke at the pain to get them to move. Because if they don't move, the comfort zone gets bigger and bigger, and the chances of moving gets less and less. So the away from is more cautious, they're slower to change, and they're focused on what risks they want to avoid, or what they want to avoid losing, or what problems they don't want to encounter. The towards individual is focused on rewards, the benefits, the carrot, right? The pleasure that can come out of taking action and going a particular direction. So the toward individual is better at change, more open-minded, a little more spontaneous, and instead of focusing on problems, they're focusing on goals that they might have. So a toward individual, some of the advantages, of course, is that this individual is forward thinking. They're living much of their lives as if they're out into the future, very goal oriented. There's a feeling of positivity around them and kind of a natural motivation where they're not looking back, they're looking forward at all times. Now, naturally, if you know someone who is 100% towards, and it's always going in a particular direction where they're like, you know, this is where we're going, let's all go that way. One of the challenges with that, of course, is they don't always dot all the I's or cross all the T's. There's this gung-ho-ness to who they are. So frequently they leave things unfinished. Those of you working with prospective franchisees want to put them through a due diligence process to make sure this is right and best for them. Someone who's completely towards may ignore some signals and signs and information. They're not paying attention to the obstacles, the problems. Where are they going to get their financing? Is there enough business in that particular marketplace? Or any other kind of obstacle. They're only focused on, I want to own that business and I'm moving that direction. So our job, both as franchise development folks and as franchise brokers, is to work with these toward strategy folks, but at the same time have them dot the I's and cross the T's. So the toward sort individual is also someone that has a challenge with learning from the past. So oftentimes these towards types of individuals will repeat the same mistakes again and again and again, whether that's relationally, choosing the same person again and again, business-wise, choosing a similar kind of pattern or career, etc. So this focus so much on the future and the benefits and the rewards and the pleasure oftentimes has them ignoring any possible obstacles or problems or challenges, and therefore oftentimes they're stumbling over each other to get there and not learning from what the past has provided them to learn from. Now, the away from individual is someone that's really good at assessing risks and, of course, recognizing anything that might need to be avoided. So as they're looking at a prospective franchise opportunity, they're going to notice all the problems, all the issues, and they're going to frequently sort of compare this current situation to what Uncle Billy went through or a situation they went through in the past. So there's a lot of compare and contrast that's going on. And the goal, of course, is I don't want to repeat my mistakes. I don't want to create what happened back there for me. I want to do it better and right this time going forward. So the away from person obviously is oftentimes overly cautious and oftentimes focused on what could go wrong or the downside. In fact, they may look a little bit negative or pessimistic, and trying something new or taking a risk is a little more difficult for the away from individual, and it's going to require us to add some fire to the rear ends to get them to move into another direction. So as I mentioned before, the away from individual oftentimes has a pessimistic view of the world. And so oftentimes it takes propelling them into the future by adding additional pain of if you don't change, if you don't make this decision, if you don't take action now, these things will happen. For those of you in sales for a long time, one of the ways that's done is through the takeaway, if you recall in your closes. If you don't act now, it's going to be gone tomorrow. That territory is no longer available. So for an away from, they might respond to that or some other way of lighting the fire underneath them. So the report will give you, is this person away? Is this person toward? And how big or how small is their comfort zone, giving you some opportunity to address that candidate and move them through that process, either by lighting fire underneath them or by bringing out a really big carrot where they can go forward. Another way to sort of dig in, if you're not already using the tool, is to ask this question. Ask your prospective franchisee, what's important to you in a business? Now, they're going to answer in a few different ways. One of the answers that they might give you is, well, freedom, of course. I want to have some independence. I'm really want to have some opportunity to come and go as I please. I want to create a legacy. I want to pass something down to my family. And so if they're saying these kinds of things, we can hear in those words they are towards individuals, towards leaving a legacy, towards more security, towards more independence, towards creating more freedom in their lives. So that's a toward individual. So when communicating with this toward individual, we're going to communicate towards the rewards, the benefits. We're going to give them lots of carrots to keep them going in the right direction. But if they say things like, well, I'm really sick of my boss breathing down my neck and micromanaging me. And, you know, it's clear I have hit the ceiling at my job. I'm not respected. I'm underpaid, and I certainly, you know, don't want to continue to be in that situation. So those are words, or those are communications your prospect is telling you that they are away from. These are away from pain types of individuals. So a trade secret: the smaller the comfort zone, the faster the action. The smaller the comfort zone, the faster the action. So if you have a prospective franchisee with a large comfort zone, and the report will tell you small, medium, large, extra large, if it's large, then it's harder for them to move forward. They're that individual who has a back injury and waits 6 years to go to the doctor, versus that guy or gal that has, a little tick in their arm or in their back, and they're instantly at the doctor or doing whatever is necessary to heal that body. So the bigger the comfort zone, the smaller the likelihood of taking action. That doesn't mean they're not going to buy. It simply means their comfort zone is large, and your job as a franchise development guy, as a franchise consultant, is to reduce that size of that comfort zone so they can take action. Because trust me, over time, the comfort zone only gets larger. When they first went into that job and they were underpaid or not respected, it was like, oh, okay, well, I'm a new employee. But then 5 years later, they're still not being promoted, or they're still not being recognized or appreciated. And now they're having to work nights and weekends. So the pain has increased, but their comfort zone has increased, because maybe in turn they have security and safety, or at least familiarity. So as the comfort zone gets larger, the action becomes reduced. So our job is to reduce that comfort zone so someone can continue on down that track. So the question then is, how do we do that? How do we get this comfort zone down and at the same time know when to put a carrot out and know when to light some fire under someone's rump, right? So there's two primary ways that you can do that. One is leverage their values. The values are the carrots. The values are those things that they desperately want and will do what's necessary to achieve and to acquire. Then leverage their fears. Now, here's what's interesting. The values as well as the fears are different from person to person. For one person, the fear might be fear of failure. For someone else, it could be a fear of not making a difference. So the fears will be different from individual to individual. The values will be different from individual to individual. So don't assume that this person you're talking to on the phone or sitting in front of you thinks like you think or processes like you process. Okay, so know when to use a carrot, know when to use the stick, and always focus on reducing the comfort zone so they can move forward. So let's talk about the values first, which is usually the carrot. So we have a group called the belongers in this spot on. The belongers have values like security and dependability and family and relationship and a sense of team and commitment. These are the backbone of our society. These are folks that are not big risk takers. They're security conscious, but they're loyal and dependable individuals, and they value those same things in their franchisor and the people that they work and play with. So these would be the carrots. So we're going to show the prospective franchisee that our franchise system will provide them an extended family, that our systems and our processes are proven, thus allowing them to feel safe and secure about their future. We're going to show them that we are committed to working hand in glove with them to build this future. So we're going to show them as a franchisor how our franchise system, how our process, how our products and services will allow them to have all of these values. The more you can show someone the carrot of these values, the more they want it. So I can have more security. I can have a team. I don't have to do things alone. I have people I can depend on. I have people that will, mentor me. I have people that are committed to my success. I have, people that have proven systems. They will get excited. So we're providing that carrot. But let's look at the stick part of this, okay? The belonger also has some fears that he or she is dealing with. Number one is a fear of being separated from those they love, that they're going to be excluded from their family or from groups or organizations that they value or enjoy being a part of. That could be everything from the Saturday morning softball team to the country club to a religious group that they're belonging to, or it could simply be an extension of the friends and family. And if there's anything at all that separates them from that, a business that could in any way separate them from those groups, they're going to say no to it. So this is a fear that they have. The second fear they have is that they will do something that's irresponsible, which in turn will cause suffering to those that they love and they care about, that their decisions and their actions are irresponsible. So they're not going to leave the wife at home to tend to the 4 little children and go off traveling. Even though that provides security and safety, we're not going to be separated from that family. And we're not going to spend Johnny's college fund to go in a business. That's too fearful. That's too scary. So the financial insecurity obviously is a big thing for them, and it's a fear that what they do will ultimately not provide or protect their family. So if we have someone who has a large comfort zone and they're away from, we want to pull out the stick. We want to pull out the stick and we want to poke at these fears. We need to show the belonger, you continue down this track of staying in corporate America where you're having to be gone 2 out of 4 weeks out of a month. What's that going to do with your relationship with your wife? What about your kids that don't have a father around as an example? And let them feel the pain. Let them feel the pain of doing what they're doing over a longer period of time. So light a little bit of fire. Same way with the financial insecurity. Light a little bit of fire on there and say, really, you want to stay in this environment where your raise is 1% a year and the cost of living is going up 6% a year, and every day you are losing money and your kids are getting closer and closer to college age. Is this really a responsible thing to do as your son, your daughter gets to college age and you have to face them and say you're not able to help them to go to that next level? And is this really, Mr. Belonger, what you want to do? So don't be afraid to add some fire underneath the rump of someone who's away from strategy, especially if their comfort zone is large, because we want to shrink that comfort zone. And if that requires putting out lots of carrots, lots of values, lots of benefits, we're going to do that. If it requires also hitting the yucky stuff, the pain, we're going to do that also. We're going to pour some salt in that wound. So let's talk about the achiever. So the carrot for the achiever is things like control and power and respect and winning and quality and uniqueness. So this is someone that values these things. So if we can show him these carrots in the business that we are running as franchisors, or the concepts that you as franchise brokers are sharing with your achiever, if we can show them that he's going to have more control of his life, he's going to be in power, he's going to be able to grow a business, that he's going to be able to create some residual income, he's going to get the respect in his community that he deserves, that he likely wasn't getting in his corporate job. We can show him that this product, this service, this company is the highest quality, it's unique, it's got interesting positioning and a way to get to the market that's different than anyone else. That achiever is going to see that as a carrot, 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 and drive to have it. Don't be afraid to even use these words. Tell some stories of other achievers just like them that got more control, felt got greater results, got more respect, got more success by making a wise investment in a business. Tell some stories that the achiever can relate to. Now, if you're telling stories about family and relationship and touchy-feely stuff with the achiever, it's not going to motivate them. That's not what a carrot is to the achiever. The carrot is power, control, respect, results, those kinds of things. So that's the carrot we're going to put out there. Now let's talk about the stick. The stick for the achiever is his fears, okay? What is the achiever afraid of? The achiever is afraid that somehow he's not the best. He's not unique, that there's an equal out there and he's not really that special. He's really not that distinct. This is not comfortable for him. He sees himself as king of the hill, winner, and there isn't anything that he can't achieve. And to know that he can't is extremely painful for him. It's just not acceptable to not be number one. The second thing that they're afraid of is not being in control, that they don't have the power, the personal power, or the influence to do what it is that they want to do, who they are in no way is a powerful person or a person that has control of their own lives. Thirdly, their fear is that they're not going to be able to leave a legacy. Now, this is a term that we hear frequently in franchising, right? So the franchisee that's an achiever wants to pass down a legacy to others. So kind of leave a thumbprint on the world that says, I've been here, I built a business, I'm fabulous, I'm a winner, I'm a great business person. So if we have a achiever, which you know from your spot on report, we are going to leverage both his carrots, which are all those values, and we're also going to hit the stick, which are all his fears. That's going to be harder for you, but trust me, it works. So with an achiever, we're going to talk to him about, really, Joe? You want to be 5, 7, 8, 10 years down the road and be in the same place that you are today, where you're in a financial situation and a business situation and a career where you've hit the ceiling. You have no real control of what your income is going to be. You have no real say about your future. There's no way to distinguish yourself as the best and set yourself apart. Yes, you have a title, but so does gazillions of other people have that exact same title as you do. How is it you want to leave this world? What kind of legacy do you want to leave? Is this the legacy, what you're doing today, the legacy you want to leave behind for your children and for others that have observed you in your career for 30 years? So we're hitting the fear button. We're hitting the stick as well as the carrot. The societal is an individual who is motivated by these following carrots. They want to make a contribution. They want a life that's simple, where they're able to express themselves freely, and that they're in a harmonious environment that's creative, and it's having some kind of an impact. These are the carrots. So we're going to show them our business as franchisors allows them to do that. It allows them to have an impact, allows them to contribute, allows them to make a difference on the lives of others. It's going to be a life where they can have simplicity. It's not full of drama, and it's one instead that's full of harmony and peace and creativity, where they have freedom and they can express themselves. We're going to show them this business allows them to have that. We're going to dangle that carrot out. We're going to tell them stories of other societals who were able to do that. Here's a story about a societal in our franchise organization who discovered, these attributes about herself or himself by working alongside other franchisees just like them, to be able to fully empower and impact others in their community while at the same time having lots of creativity and self-expression. So we're going to tell the stories, we're going to bait them with the carrot, and at the same time we're going to look at the societal fears. And the societal fears, three things. One, that in some way they are ignorant or they lack knowledge. In other words, they're uninformed and unaware. This is a bad thing for a societal. Secondly, they have a fear of being manipulated or that in some way they are an unfair target, oftentimes due to a lack of knowledge or just not being aware of something. This is a serious fear for the societal. And thirdly, the fear that they won't make a difference, that nothing they do will create any kind of change or have any kind of effect on others or a situation. So if we have a societal where we want to bring his comfort zone down so we can get him or her to move forward, who's also an away from, we're going to hit these fears. So we're going to let the prospective franchisee that's a societal know, that their ongoing lack of knowledge about business and entrepreneurship and franchising is allowing them to continue to be manipulated by big corporations that are taking advantage of their commitment and their dedication and their willingness to do what it takes. But in turn, they're just being manipulated and not rewarded for that. They're trapped where they can't fully express themselves or fully create, or all their creativity is then given away within that organization, and it's not something that in any way they're able to have a bigger impact. We're going to show them that if they stay where they are, that the impact they have and the cause they're creating is minuscule. And if they want to have a bigger one, they're going to have to do something. They're going to have to move into business ownership and doing something differently where they can be able to do just that. Now let's talk about the emulator. The emulator is motivated by the following values, i.e. carrots. The emulator is all about innovation, what's trendy, what's sexy, what's coming up. They love innovation. They like things that have a little sex appeal and makes them feel prestigious, and they're very image conscious. They love adventure. They love fun. They love a good challenge. And they're really good at leveraging other people's money, other people's time, other people's knowledge. So it's about money, it's about prestige, it's about sex appeal for the emulator. So we're going to show them our franchise is sexy. We're cutting edge. We have high-end technology and innovation. We compete by being innovative and coming out with new services and products on a regular basis. We can address whatever competition is out there. Our offering allows you autonomy and independence and freedom and flexibility that you want to do things your own way. Never mind, when you go to the country club, you can feel pretty good that you've chosen this business because it's a sexy business. People are going to say, holy moly, how did you do that? So it's a prestigious business. It's a business where you'll get lots of recognition, and people will be asking you regularly, how did you do that? So those are the carrots, right? Those are the carrots that we're going to put out there for the emulator. The fears. The fears, again, is the sticks. So the fear for the emulator is that they're going to be embarrassed, that they're going to do something and make a bad decision or make a mistake, and people are going to notice. Okay, so there's this huge fear of being embarrassed. Secondly, they have a fear of looking inadequate or incompetent. So this idea that we will see that they don't have what it takes to be successful is scary to them. So naturally, part of that fear, they tend to overcompensate, may even look a little bit arrogant or bodacious as they pretend they already got it all going on. But underneath it is a part of them that fears you're going to see that they don't have what it takes. And so they're going to work extra hard so that doesn't happen. The biggest fear for them is the fear of failure, that they won't meet their own big expectations in their heads of themselves or the expectations that they perceive others have of them. So if we need to light some fear under the emulator, and we need to narrow down that comfort zone so they can keep moving through that process, we want to make sure that we hit these fears. You know, Sally, really, really, you know, there's a lot of people that are believing in you. There's a lot of people that think you have some incredible potential. Do you really want to let these people down? You know, are you going to allow this fear of failure, which bottom line is what's going on for you? You're going to continue to allow this to stop you from seeing what you're really made of, what you're really capable of? You know, you know, life is a series of mistakes. Don't let your fear of making a mistake or being embarrassed prevent you from taking this action. Hit it even harder if you like, you know, and push that button harder by saying, you know what? I'm sorry. I thought you were wired to be able to do this, and clearly you don't have what it takes. Now, again, you have to be sort of cautious in that area, but don't be afraid to light a little fire and hit those fears and use the stick, especially for someone who scores as an away from strategy, because honestly, that's what makes them move. I got to tell you a silly story about that. It happened to be an emulator who was telling me how he ended up going in business and ultimately became very successful as a franchisee. So he had an annual a ski trip he went on with his fraternity brothers. So we're talking years of this ski trip. Every year they would go, and every year they get together and they'd ski, and at night they'd be, you know, drinking beer and telling big stories about conquests and empire building and adventures that each of them had been on separately of each other. And of course, like many emulators, there's a little exaggeration and that's going on when you're telling stories about what you're doing. And every year, his stories were much smaller than the stories of the other fellas. They were making more money. They had bigger degrees. They had gone on crazier adventures and trips than he had done. And each year the pain kind of grew, like, I don't measure up. You know, I'm not as capable or as competent as my buddies that I went to college with. And at some point, the pain got so intense that he actually missed one of the ski trips because he was too embarrassed. He had nothing to talk about that in any way measured up to what everybody else was doing. But it was the wake up for him that said, you know what, I got to do something. I am not living up to my potential, especially in comparison to what others with similar educations and opportunities have done. It's time for me to do something. Now, he figured it out on his own, but as franchise development guys and as franchise brokers, sometimes that's our job. Sometimes it's our job to say, what is your potential and why are you not living up to it? Is it what fear is getting involved? So to kind of pull this all back together, and Aubrey, I know you're probably getting some questions in the text chat, and feel free to put those in, guys. I want to address them. Remember, the bigger the comfort zone, the bigger the stick is that you need to use. Also, the bigger the comfort zone, the more carrots you're going to need. So the more you want to leverage those values. So I'm going to show you a couple of places where you can find those carrots, okay? So the stick you're going to find over here, but the carrots on the Spot On report are these values. This is a prospective franchisee. This is his or her top 7 values. And remember, people will do whatever they can to have their top 7 values, and including spending money and investing time and energy and doing what is necessary to accomplish it. But you'll notice with this prospective franchisee, there are 2 splatter dots. Splatter dots are those things that are amiss. These are things that the prospect doesn't have, but they're so important that it actually is causing them pain. Enough pain that they are checking out buying a franchise. They're ready to do something. They're in pain. Now, if you see no splatter dots, that's usually a sign that somebody already has what they need and what they want. They're kind of comfortable, so that's not so good either. But in this case, we're talking about the stick. We're talking about two splatter dots, things that are painful for them. Don't be afraid to address those. Ask them, what does freedom mean to you? What does independence mean to you? How is it you got yourself in a situation where you don't have that as much as you want? What does that mean as it relates to the future business that you want? What does freedom look like for you in the future with this business? These are the two biggest pains that they're having. And just look at it with each prospect is going to be different. So this is where we're going to use the stick as well as we use the carrot. Just know that the splatter dots are a good example of a area of pain, and that's where we bring the salt out. So I want to go through this super fast here. Belongers, when you are working with a belonger who's a toward strategy individual, use verbiage, use examples, use stories that has them focus on the future. Remember, there are things that are important to them are security, safety, family, relationship, team. Show them the team and family type culture. Show them a proven system, which makes them feel safe and secure. Show them where their family and friends can be involved in this business. Show them that this is a business with loyal customers and loyal employees. If they're an away from and they're a belonger, show them those things that they're doing today that will separate them from their family. Separate them not just physically, but emotionally and relationally from their family. Show them the insecurity of the job market, that businesses are consolidating, that they're aging, and whether we like it or not, there's some age discrimination out there and how they could possibly be replaced. Show them that what they are doing does not enable them to provide and protect for their family the way they truly want to. Show them that. Talk to them about disappointing their spouse. I mean, this is one of the biggest ones in a belonger if they're married, is they want their wives and their husbands to look at them and say, I'm proud of you. I love what you do for me and what you do for this family. And let them see the face of a wife, even if it's only in their imagination, of disappointing her because they didn't live up to their potential. This is not something they can handle. Show them a work environment that's unfair, it lacks a sense of a team, and is disloyal in their current situation, why they want to get out of that and do something much more exciting, like buy a franchise. Okay, if you're working with an achiever who's a toward, show him that your company is unique. It has quality products and services. Show him how he or she can replicate and grow and achieve the kind of success that he or she wants. Tell her some stories about people just like him who did just that. Show him how he will be respected and in control of his life, and show him how he can leave a legacy and potentially have some residual incomes. If he's an away from achiever, we're going to want to bring that comfort zone down by telling him, look, you've hit that corporate ceiling. How many times are you going to bang your head? Let's do something about that. You're never going to leave a legacy or residual income by continuing to do what you're doing. And the power and success you want, well, that's a joke. You want to be respected? Look at what you're doing now. It's not getting you a whole lot of respect. And show them that the people he's working with and is surrounded by don't have the same passion for quality and for winning and for growing like he does. That he's not even on the right team. He's not even on the right ball field. He needs to do something very, very different. Societals. If they're toward, we want to show them products, services, companies that are innovative, cause-based, change-based, concepts that promote the growth and success of others, where they can touch the lives of others. Systems that allow them to contribute and have an impact. Anything that's educational, transformational, inspirational is something they're going to be interested in because they love knowledge, right? So we're going to throw that carrot. You're going to keep growing. You're going to keep learning. Never mind. You can take that same learning and empower others to do the very same thing. Let them see how they can express themselves and be creative in how they express themselves if they choose to go in business. More importantly, go into this business that we're showing them. If they're an away from societal, then we want to do just the opposite. We want to hit that fear. We want to show them that if they continue doing what they're doing, they're having little, if any, impact on the lives of others. And it's only going to get worse if they continue to stay there. That they're working with people that lack principles, lack integrity. They're going to tell you those stories, throw those stories right back into their face. These are people that need to work with individuals that have impeccable principles and integrity. If they're working with people that don't have that, you need to point that out and say, really? You want to hang with people like this? I don't think so. You're a societal. You need to be with people that have integrity. Show them that they're not expressing themselves, that they're no longer learning, they're bored out of their gourd, and they're certainly not creating, they're certainly not innovating. And that job environment they're in is like drama mama, right? They can't handle drama. They have to be in a place where there's harmony for them to be most effective. So share some of those things with them. And finally, with the emulator, show them, if they are toward, how this company that you represent is prestigious, it's sexy, it's innovative, it's cutting edge. They want to be a part of that. They want to hang their kite on that particular dream. Show them that this business is one filled with challenge, filled with adventure, filled with diversity, filled with fun, because that's what they're interested in. That's a carrot for them. Show them that they're going to have a good return and a quick return on investment, and show them that how this business allows them to be flexible and get the recognition that they've long deserved and haven't gotten in the past. And of course, if they're away from, we have to hit certain buttons there. Show them, you know what, you're micromanaged, you're self-motivated, you got more potential in your little finger than a dozen people put together, and yet you got this boss breathing down your neck. Get out of there. You're not even being appreciated or respected. You deserve better than that. Show them that if they continue down the same track that they're on in this comfort zone, that they're going to be bored and they're going to have no challenge whatsoever, and at some point that's just going to absolutely burn them out. Show them that they have a limited income where they're at and that they're not going to reach their potential there. Tell them stories of people just like themselves who made the bad decision of not making a change, and how that limited both their income and ultimate where they just got totally bored. Show them that if they continue where they are, clearly the world is not going to see them as prestigious or having any kind of status and or talent, title or money. So trade secret. If you want to do more deals and you're dealing with some of these away from clients, here's a little tip. Away from clients need to see problems. They are very good at solving problems. And as weird as it sounds, if you're not like this, it's going to sound like I'm speaking Chinese right now. But an away from client has to see a problem to be able to say yes. So if you are trying to protect them from the validation issues that you may be having, or some litigation problem, whatever the issues are, if you're trying to protect them, then they can't say yes. You literally have to have the away from person go out and find the problems in the system, because then and only then can they go, okay, I have what it takes to overcome that problem. Those other franchisees that are struggling didn't, but I have it because I'm an away from, and I can now build a successful business. So don't overprotect. Don't sugarcoat things for the away from. In fact, send them out looking for the problem. So bottom line, with the meta programs, you want to A, know what they are, and B, make sure you're going the same direction. If you are an away from, don't be talking to a toward with all the fears and away from strategies, and vice versa. Go the path of least resistance. Go with the meta programs that they use naturally, and you'll get better results. And ultimately, obviously, you're going to do more deals. So again, remember, the higher the value, the bigger the carrot. If you don't know which carrot to leverage, which value to leverage as many as possible. A dozen of them. Just keep on leveraging those values. The bigger the fear, the bigger the stick. So if you're in doubt, you don't know which fear is triggering them, but you do know they're emulators, you know what those three fears typically are, then leverage all three of them one way or another, either through a story, through an example, or directly if you need to.
To learn more about the Spot-On Profile, take the assessment yourself by clicking on the link below, or reach out to us directly for your 30-day free trial.